Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jae Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Forrest Derr, the founder of Durr Consulting. Forrest brings a rich background from his business management education, leadership roles in telecommunications and technology, and now as a business consultant specializing in the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, and Fractional COO services. He's helped numerous small to mid-sized businesses streamline operations and scale effectively, and he's here to share how he's transforming the consulting landscape through Durr Consulting. We'll explore his founding story, how his business empowers clients across industries like tech and retail, and his vision for scaling this mission-driven venture. So let's dive right in. Forrest, welcome to Founders Future.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate having you on. So would love to just start at the very top for our listeners here, Forrest. Take us back to the beginning if you can, right? What specific problem in the business operations or growth landscape, maybe around inefficiencies or leadership challenges for small businesses, really inspired you to start Durr Consulting?
Yeah, so I started out working in a couple different companies as an integrator or COO. So I worked for a telecom company for 8.5 years and then worked for a landscaping company that also incorporated some other businesses. So there were some smaller businesses that the visionary owned, a jiu-jitsu gym, a CrossFit gym, a software company. So I had the experience of working in multiple industries. And one of the things I keep seeing over and over again in all those industries is the issue with that COO type role, that COO type mentality. There's so many businesses out there that need the expertise of a chief operating officer, but cannot afford one. They don't have the bandwidth to be able to afford one full time. So that's what inspired me to go ahead and start Durr Consulting back in January of this year and start servicing that underutilized client base.
Amazing. So obviously you just kind of spun up Durr Consulting. So how has it evolved thus far from what you're providing and who you're providing that for? What's changed since you started, or is obviously it's in its infancy here. So is it still kind of rolling
Yeah.
how you started it?
Yeah, it's still in its infancy, but I tell people that I've been doing this for several years. So I've been working with clients, a lot of coffee shop and lunch payments for talking to different businesses and helping them through struggles over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's really what inspired me to get going. But I decided back in December that I was going to leave my full-time job and go ahead and start this business. And it was amazing. I mean, within 10 days, I had 3 clients that signed contracts where I work with them one day a week. And that's pretty much full for me, is to have a one day a week engagement for 3 different clients. And then I have some clients that I work with monthly. But the clients are all over the map. You know, one's a construction company, one's an electrician company, one's a telecom company. They're all over the gamut, but the problems are all the same. It's people, process, and structure. That's what it ends up being. So
Absolutely. Awesome. So I mean, on that front, since you're just getting in, obviously you have a ton of experience, and that's why you decided to create Durr Consulting. But what is a misconception that people have about the business consulting industry, especially around its value of EOS or its scalability for small businesses? What's something there that you can address for the listeners?
I talked to a group yesterday of about 60 business leaders in the market, helping them understand what fractional leadership is. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception. This fractional movement has been going on for a number of years, and it's just now starting to take root where people understand what it is. There's fractional chief marketing officers, fractional chief operating, CFOs, CMOs. There's all these different fractional roles. I'm just one of many, but it's the market is starting to realize that these smaller businesses, these $2 to $20 million businesses that can't afford a COO full time, hey, you can pick one up fractionally, work one day a week, and that fractional executive can get significantly more movement within the company than hiring somebody out of college that doesn't have any experience, or hiring somebody that's only got a couple of years experience. So tapping into that experience is what most people don't realize.
Absolutely. So on that same front, would love to kind of tap into the nuts and bolts of what you're doing with
Yeah.
Durkin. right? Especially being that you're really starting to pick things up now. What is the core offer there, and how is it structured for your clients from when they, when they come to see you, what can they expect to hear from what you can offer?
Yeah, it's really an evaluation of their business. So the three industries, the three businesses that I talked about, they're all facing different problems around the same types of issues. And so the first part is just a business analysis. So the first day is really just analyze the business. I spend the whole day asking questions. And it's very interesting, the response. I tell people I don't have the answers, I have the questions, and I help them got with your guided discovery to find the answers that they need. So that usually first 2 days that I've experienced with these is really just helping understand what the business problems are, identifying those gaps, and then we create a strategy to meet those gaps over a 12-month period.
Gotcha. And then on that point, you're offering the fractional COO. And are you doing coaching for businesses as well? Or is it really just that fractional COO side of things?
It's fractional COO, and then I've got a couple of businesses that I'm actually doing coaching where I'll meet with them once a month and just help them think through strategy. And we talked about EOS a little bit. EOS is really a good framework to work within. I'm not an EOS implementer. I'm what's called an EOS integrator, and there is some confusion in the marketplace sometimes with that because they both start with an I and sound similar.
Yep.
But an implementer works outside the business to help a company guide through that journey of implementing EOS. I'm an integrator, so I'm inside the business, working inside that business on a weekly basis. So several of my clients have an implementer who meets with them once a quarter, and then I meet with them weekly to help them implement and push EOS throughout the organization.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, and I'm definitely a big believer in
There
EOS.
you go. Great book. Yeah.
A great book for sure. I mean, it's crucial to be able to
Yeah.
follow that. I mean, EOS is massive when it comes to really structuring business and following and then having your rocks and being able to just do things efficiently. I'm definitely a big believer. So always happy to have owners on here and founders on here that
Yeah.
do it as well. So on that same front, Forrest, talk to us about what's working really good right now for acquisition, right? How are you acquiring customers right now?
It's a network. So one of the things that I started 3 years ago was a group called Entrepreneurial Networking Resource Group, Energy, ENRG. Started that 3 years ago and just got EOS like-minded people together, and that has grown. We've got two chapters in South Alabama, one in California, one in Tennessee, one in Ohio, and it's just continuing to spread. But building that network of like-minded people who are fans of EOS, uh, all but one of my clients came out of those groups. All
Wow.
but one of them came out of those groups where I meet with them once a month, working through complex problems in their businesses in a group-oriented environment. And the companies realize the value in having someone that understands the business side and understands multiple industries to come in there and help them with solve those problems. So that's really I have done no paid advertising. I mean, I've obviously got a LinkedIn profile, but that's the only way I've gotten business.
Interesting. Very interesting. So obviously from the sales process standpoint, is it just you right now running the show? You don't have,
Hmm.
anyone
Yep.
else, no sales team, anything?
No, I
Right.
got a virtual assistant that works for me about 10 hours a week, helping me manage my calendar and do some LinkedIn posting and management for me. But I do not have any sales force. It's all word of mouth.
Wow. Okay. So really just really doing everything you can to get this thing up and going on your own. That's incredible. And
Mm.
obviously you're doing great already. So it's clear as day that you're going to be able to continue to move
Yeah.
forward on that path. So I mean, if you had an opportunity to identify something that would make the biggest impact on
Hmm.
your growth right now, what
Yeah. Yeah. I think my biggest challenge is trying to figure out how to replicate myself's not the right word, but expand myself and how I can reach more people. Because I'm not selling time, I'm selling days right now, but I'm literally booked up through May right now. And so I do not have any openings until June would be the first openings that I have for potential clients. And so that's the biggest challenge for me is how do I replicate myself? Do I go hire a experienced integrator and bring them into the fold and go all in and start a firm that outsources more than one person. That's kind of where my head is trying to decide if that's the right path or Do I do some type of online group coaching where I can expand my reach without having to do one-on-one coaching? So that's where I'm struggling right now, trying to figure out the best path.
So it sounds like you're not having an issue with lead generation at all, right?
Mm-mm.
Hooked up at
No.
that point,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have it there. So really just trying to consider if you got to restructure kind of the offer and adding that group coaching element, really being able to get
Right.
in front of more people to impact more. So that definitely makes sense there. So I mean, on that front, Forrest, talk to us a little bit about what your top priorities are for the next 6 to 12 months when it comes to growing Durr Consulting.
Yeah, the next 6 to 12 months is to solve that problem as far as, do I hire and contract more integrator coaching to work under that umbrella and work with them to build their businesses out as a subcontractor? Or do I take some time and build out some of these energy chapters that I'm working with? So there's another potential play to monetize and get those energy chapters to get more depth in the education that they're doing to help more people and expand that. So those are kind of my two paths that I've been thinking about.
Beautiful. So with that, hypothetically speaking, if we had a genie, snapped our fingers, and we're
Hmm.
able to provide you with unlimited resources right now, what would you implement immediately into Durr Consulting?
I would implement bringing on more clients. I mean, that's my issue right now is I need more capacity to be able to handle the clients. I do not have a prospecting problem or a sales problem. At this point, I have a problem with capacity. So if I had more capacity, then I would absolutely productize what I'm doing better and systematize it better so that it could be replicated and get out and get in front of more people.
Amazing. So on that same page there, right? I would love to know, and I know our listeners would love to hear of what's your take on the business consulting industry as a whole and its evolution in the coming
Hmm.
years. I know you're
Hmm.
focused on EOS and the
Yeah.
tech-driven sectors. How are you positioning yourself for that evolution?
Yeah, just positioning myself to continue to add value, not focus on hours, but focus on the value that I can bring and other fractional executives can bring. Because again, there's so many companies, especially smaller companies and companies that been around 15, 20 years that maybe 3 million, 4 million. They're so focused on time value instead of on the actual value and ROI. And I think of it, from the story of the engineer or the electrician that goes and works on somebody's house, and it's not how long it took him to turn the screw, it's knowing which screw to turn, right? And so that's where that consultancy needs to focus its time. Everybody needs to be focused on not how many hours we're working, but what is the value that we're providing? What's the ROI that we're providing? And I think people are starting to accept that and realize that it's not about the hours, it's about the impact.
Absolutely. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, I have so many different types of founders and entrepreneurs and
Mhm.
owners on the show. And I love touching on this because it really kind of puts things into perspective for our listeners, right? So,
Yeah.
question is so many of the founders that I speak to face a moment where they almost gave up, right? I
Hmm.
know you're just
Yeah.
getting started, but you have a big background, a deep background, and why you're so good at what you're doing. So talk to us about a time that your back was up against the wall. You felt like you were almost going to give up, but you pushed through it. How did you push through that moment?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because I've only been doing it for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But when I decided to leave the full-time position back in December, I took a week off to just think through what I wanted to do, and I did toy with the idea of just getting another full-time job because, frankly, 3 years ago this was my plan.
Yeah.
My 5-year plan, my personal 5-year VTO, so to speak, was to build a consultancy. So I wasn't quite ready to do that back in December, or at least according to my plans. But I did explore the opportunity of taking on a full-time job, and we've talked to a couple of recruiters. And when they started having me fill all these forms out trying to get a job, I was like, I'm not going to do this. This is crazy. Why am I doing this? And so took that week, thought about it, sent out a couple LinkedIn messages, and then just pushed through. And like I said, picked up clients very quickly and had a lot of affirmation from people saying, yeah, this is where you're supposed to be.
I absolutely love that. It's clear as day, what you're able to communicate with and how successful you are already. It's,
Mhm.
you're just going to continue to do great things in the space and super grateful to be able to have you on and talk through that with you and have our listeners get some insight onto what you're doing there. So would love to go into a bit of a closing lightning round here
All
for
right.
listeners. So I want to know, obviously, again, just kind of getting started, but what's a tool or resource that you're using? Maybe it's a strategy
Hmm.
from your past job or a technique that you're using with EOS, but what's been a
Yeah.
game for Durr?
Uh, Yeah, absolutely. A game changer has been the 90.io software. So I don't know if you're familiar with 90, but that software is an absolute game changer. People just they think they can think about their business and run their business without having a centralized plan and having that centralized plan and having that centralized location for all your accountability chart. Between the VTO and the accountability chart, every company I work in, I require them to run on 90. Even if they aren't running on EOS, they've got to run on 90 because that's the only way I can manage what's going on in that business to know what that two-page business plan is. Because every client I ask, first question, do you have a business plan? Yes. Second question, where's your business plan? It's in a drawer back here. When was the last time you looked at it? I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. All right,
Mm.
that's got to end today. So let's figure out what that business plan looks like. So hands down, the 90 software allows me to be able to get all that in one place. And going through that exercise, people, their eyes open up when they realize this is where it's at. So
Wow, very cool. So it's 90.io.
90.io. Yep.
.io. We'll have to definitely get that checked out. I know our listeners will be looking into that as well. So appreciate you sharing that with us. So
Yeah.
with that, what is a piece of advice that you've personally received for us that really just kind of sparked something in your mind and it's just the best piece of advice for scaling a business like this?
I think the best piece of advice is go before you're ready.
Mm,
There's a lot of, and I struggled with this for a long time. I ended up hiring an executive coach that worked with me to help me think through some things, which that's another thing I would recommend is hiring an executive coach because, Tiger Woods, it doesn't matter who you think about from a professional athlete, they hire coaches, executives should hire coach. But go before you're ready has been a mantra that's helped me think through things because so many times we have, and I've experienced this paralysis by analysis.
mm.
I want to get it perfect. I want to get it right. I want to have a playbook. I want to have all the tools I need. I want to have everything lined up. I want to have a plan that deals with all the contingencies, but you got to just go before you're ready, especially if you're going to launch a consulting business. I didn't have all the things that I needed to get started. I didn't have a checking account. I didn't have an LLC agreement. I didn't have any of that. I mean, I started billing clients before all that was ready to go, but you just got to go before you're ready.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And then just to round us out here, Forrest, what is a piece of advice that you can give to our listeners right now, whether founders and entrepreneurs who are just getting started out in the space like yourself and want to see success like you have so far?
Build your network. I cannot emphasize that enough. I had a mentor share with me concept called net weaving. And networking is not the same as net weaving. And net weaving is introducing others to each other, people to each other without looking for something in return. And that's something I've been doing for the last 5, 6 years is I'll come across somebody and then the first thing I'm thinking about is who can I introduce them to that would make a good relationship between both of them, even though I wouldn't get anything out of it. And if you will net weave, you will grow your network a lot faster than networking.
Amazing. Well, with that there, that does wrap up another inspiring episode here of Founders Future. Just want to thank you again, Forrest, for sharing this remarkable journey so far and your insights. I know you're just getting going, but it really does sound like you're going to do some incredible things in this space. I'll be keeping up with you. I know we have got each other on LinkedIn there, so I'm excited to see
Awesome.
how far you go. To our listeners, if you did enjoy this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.